evening, and I welcome you to your transformative program, Politics and Beyond. My name is Emmanuel, Jr., and I'm excited to be with you today. I'm really excited because, as you are aware, as I'm aware, this is the beginning of a new year. Last year, we had such great moments, and I believe strongly that we did learn a lot. This year promises to be a super great one. And so I want to wish each and every one of us a happy, blessed new year. Remember that whatever you went through last year, whatever, as the Bible says, whatever the locusts and the cankerworm have eaten, this year, be rest assured that God will restore into your life thousandfolds. Just believe that. We have always been talking about governance, and we've always been discussing how governance is of importance. And the fact that, you know, the last election, as I indicated, wasn't about who has won or who has lost. Indeed, some individuals or a political party won, the NDC political party won, the MPP political party lost, all the other parties also lost. We've gone through the celebration and all that, and it is time for us to quickly work, because we are not in good times, and governance is really a serious business. It has nothing to do with just celebration. We really need to work and make sure that we restore the economy into on its right path. Fortunately, if you look at these few days right after the swearing in, which is just about a week or a little over a week, it looks like the new president, His Excellency John Mahama, has taken some bold decisions, and I personally applaud. I believe that when you scan through the citizens, the minds, and their perspective, they will tell you that speedily they are having some level of confidence in this new government. Talk about the appointment that has been made. Talk about the oral, that is the Operation Recover All Loots, that has been set. Talk about directives that has been given, particularly the one that says that state lands, you know, transactions on state land should come to a halt. Talk about MCs, DC directives and all that. It looks strongly that we have started on a very good path. But notwithstanding, it is our duty, particularly on this platform, to ensure that we continuously check the government for us all to succeed as a country. And that is what is so important for us. As always, this program is so interactive, and if you look on your screen, you are going to see the WhatsApp line that is on the screen. Get interactive with us, and at the right time, your comments and your questions will be read for you. Today, we are going to have another interactive session. We are going to look at something, a topic that is of so much interest. And trust you me, there's no better person to help us discuss this topic than my guest that I have this evening. We are going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, I will introduce my guest to you, and we'll zoom straight into the conversation. Stay tuned.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to Accra.
Sure.
Check, auto checks. Check, auto checks. Check.
Emission, check.
Check, auto checks.
Alignment, check.
Auto checks.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
Check, auto checks.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural. For bulk purchase, call 0596 273 546 or 0596 273 547. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back. I'm still your host, Emmanuel Wilson Jr. Today we are going to have a conversation on governance, corruption, and whether or not we have started it right. So the topic for today's conversation is the new age of corruption-free governance. What do you expect? We need to be part of this government process. We need not leave it for just the handful of individuals that we have elected. They lead us, but we are supposed to help them in executing it for us to ensure that we have a corruption-free government. And so our guest this evening in helping us to exhaust this conversation or this topic is no other. A man that, I respect so much, a man that I have come to love so much, I learned so much from, and I believe you also do learn so much from. He's actually a founder of Politics and Beyond, because he's the one we started with, and it is not by mistake that we are starting this year with him. And I'm talking about no other, your own, my own, former Auditor General of Ghana, a board member, a proud board member of Crusaders Against Corruption Ghana. And I'm talking about Mr. Daniel Yadomlevo. Uncle, welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Thank you very much.
And Happy New Year.
Many happy returns.
How has the year started with you?
So far, so good.
Great.
Yes. We are expecting more. So we are in the first year of His Excellency's administration. And like you said, people elected him.
Yeah.
And one of the things I keep telling people is that a public servant is supposed to serve the interests of the public. And if the public servant doesn't know the interests of the public, he may be serving his own interests, thinking he's serving your interest. So I am very much happy with your introduction.
Right.
People may have to let government know what they are expecting of him. A very funny one which I'll put quickly across, which was my observation. I called a friend and said two things. Did you see how Ghanaians voted? He said, yes. I said, good. Did you see the applause that the Burkinabe president drew during the
I was surprised.
The swearing in?
Exactly.
He said, yes. See, that tells you Ghanaians are looking for leadership, not democracy. We're looking for wherever we will find it. Leadership is what they are looking for. Here is the case. They voted overwhelmingly for somebody coming to office as a democratic leader. And they saw a military leader and they say, yes, this is again the guy, another guy. So they are looking for leadership. It is not democracy that you are looking for.
I think it confirms what the Afrobarometer report has been saying, that most Ghanaians are losing confidence in the democracy that we are practicing. Yeah. And just like you said, it is not really about the democracy, it's about leadership. Yeah. And so Ghanaians are looking for a leader, however means they will get the leader. That's what they are interested in. And truly, personally, I was so surprised at how they applauded the Burkinabe president. Yeah. It looks like all the presidents that came, he was the one that...
He was the only one who received actually attention. So democracy is a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. Yeah. We just don't proud ourselves to say we are democratic. In fact, we have seen suppression in democracy. We have seen neglect of the people in democracy to the extent that people even, I think many of the youth were starting to behave, to believe that if there should be a coup, it would have been better.
Better, that's true.
Which, to me,
that is very true.
Tells you that we don't need democracy for democracy's sake.
Yeah.
We need the leadership and the service to mankind that comes with it.
Yeah.
So
that is very
good. Yeah.
That's really, really true. So as I indicated, you can get interactive with us. What do you expect? That is the question we are looking at. We are looking at the new age of corruption-free governance. What do you, as a citizen, expect? This country, the democracy we are practicing, is owned by the people. It's owned by you and I, not the leaders. The leaders are just, or the political leaders, they are just, holding positions in trust for us. Just like Mr. Domlevo said, they are there to serve the interests of the public, and the public includes you and I. And so let us discuss what we expect to make sure that we have a new age of corruption-free governance. But Mr. Domlevo, we are still in the honeymoon stage of this current president or government.
Yes.
So far, he has made some few decisions. Some appointments have come. Yes, I grow better than if you are.
Yeah.
How will you assess what he has done so far?
So far, so good, but it could be better. I was expecting that he was going to hit the road running. That is, by now, we will have known all our ministers designate. Because even when he was in opposition, he should have known who will be my defense, who will be my finance, who will be my this, etc. Especially when election occurred and results or the victory was won by the 8th of December.
Yeah.
So I think he had almost a month to have chosen all those people, said that we would not have received only 3 names.
Yeah.
But the 3 names put forward together already is good.
Exactly.
You look at this guys and you say, we are in serious business.
Yeah.
And some of the directives given also are very important. Some of them are not even in the public domain, but I am very much aware that there was instruction to the Treasury also to hold on with all payments.
That's true.
Until they clear, those which are urgent are cleared with the special person, maybe in the office of the president or whatever it is. Because there's a lot of looting which happened in the Treasury. I think you know I spent 18 years in control account.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is the looting period. This is the period that they write checks, sign contracts, backdating all of them into last year. You will see contracts, you will see documents which are coming October, November, October. All those documents are 2025 documents. They only backdate them. So if you don't close Treasury and make sure people are in place before you start doing things, there will be problem. I'm not saying that we close Treasury entirely, but urgent payments get clearance and they go through. So I think those are good. Oral, I think, is also a very good initiative. Personally, when I was called to join the oral, I was a bit skeptical. I said, we don't need it. Just let the institutions function.
That's true.
Then
a position we've always held.
Yes. Then I said, but if these institutions were functioning, we wouldn't have been where we are. So we need something to be done. And every day I sit on the oral committee, I get a justification for it. Especially today that we went to the sites to see the type of looting which is happening. You will not believe it. Your heart will bleed if you go to the agri mechanization, I think they call it, near to the airport.
Right, yeah.
If you go there and see, they just removed the roofing and left documents, machines. There's a combined harvester, I think brand new. In fact, the rubber has tier rubber. They have not even removed the rubber from the steer and etc. It's at the mercy of the weather. They left everything there. You will find vehicles, you will find value books, documents that they are all immediately erased. All of them will spoil, etc. You say, how do you do this? And then you find the land is being shared among the top hierarchy of this country. But I keep saying to my people,
no, but you see, it is really worrying. Why would anyone want to do such a thing? Because you see, at the end of it all, it is the taxpayer that suffers. There has been instances where I'm told that some vehicles have come into this country and they were never used. They were exposed, subjected to the mercies of the weather, and some are even rotten. Where lies the accountability in this country?
Yeah. Remember, I make a statement continuously and repeatedly that when there are no consequences for misbehavior, impunity strikes. It strikes everywhere. And that is the situation in Ghana. Why will you, for instance, use public funds or even your own money to buy a vehicle and just park it, say, I won't use it? Doesn't make sense. Why will we even build hospitals, build schools and abandon them and we will not use them? Who in his right mind will do that? But it's because we don't demand accountability. And I think that this is a good window for us to move away from that behavior. If not for anything at all, I expect His Excellency President Mahama to deviate from that practice, to say, look, you waste state resources, we come after you. And if you remember, I've also been saying something, that corruption, just as wasteful and fruitless spending, they all deny citizenry the benefit of public funds. So it's not only those who are stealing the money, but those who are wasting the money are equally bad. So we must try and do whatever it can to make it corruption free.
Yeah. The issue of corruption free, and that takes us into the topic we are having.
Yeah.
When the flyer started going around, the first comment that came from someone, a professor, was that I don't think we can ever have anything called corruption free government.
Yeah.
We may be able to minimize corruption, but if you talk of corruption free governance, it is impossible as far as human beings are concerned.
Yeah.
I don't know if you share the same perspective.
Yes and no. He's just trying to be pragmatic by saying that it will be almost impossible to eliminate corruption in its entirety. But we can bring corruption to a level where we may even not know it exists anymore.
Great.
Okay? And I always say that when you are planning or you are targeting, you look for a perfect situation. You may not hit the perfect situation, but you don't plan putting in some slaps to say that, oh, as for me, I'm weak. So instead of running 20 kilometers per hour, let's aim at 5, so that if I do 6, I can pat myself on the back. Go back into the Constitution. Under the directive principles of state policy,
that's right,
it actually says that the state shall take steps to eradicate corruption. That's free, corruption free. That's what the Constitution tells us. We have a Constitution which says, in fact, it's one of the directive principles
so
of
the
state
Constitution
policy.
mandates us.
Mandates that we must eradicate. That's the word used. Eradicate corruption and abuse of office.
That's right.
So that is the standard that we are working to. So we may not achieve it, but if we we lower the standard, we may hit it and be laughing. Meanwhile, we have done nothing. So I think corruption free is still good. We aim at it. We may not reach there, but we must try as much as possible to go very close to corruption free.
There are 3 angles in fighting corruption. The laws, the institutions, as in anti-corruption institutions, and most importantly, the will that comes from the leadership. Because if you have the laws, you have the institutions, and you don't have leaders who are committed to it, you go nowhere. Yesterday, His Excellency John Mahama went to a church and mentioned that one key thing that is going to drive the behaviors of his appointees has to do with accountability. Now, if we are talking of corruption-free governance, we are looking at transparency, we are looking at accountability, we are looking at even the whistleblowers protection and all that, public participation and all that. In terms of accountability, linking it to what His Excellency John Mahama said, do you think that we have what it takes as a nation to ensure that individuals that we appoint to public offices are accountable the way they ought to be?
Yes and no. I must say, when we talk about the legal framework, we have a lot of laws.
That's right.
That if we go by them, I think we will have been doing very, very well.
That's right.
However, we still have work to do on our laws, especially in broadly defining what we call corruption and how to hold people accountable. I think that is very necessary. If we should take cue from some of our sister countries, just about a week ago, Ethiopia has passed a law on expropriation of unexplained wealth. And they have even backdated it 10 years. That over the past 10 years, if you have any resources or wealth which you can't explain where you get it from, then it becomes state property. We take it away from you. Some argue that their constitution, just like Ghanaian constitution, does not allow retroactive passing of, and they say corruption is sui generis. It is in its own territory.
That's right.
It's just for corruption, we can't tolerate it, no matter what we do. So we may have to look at our laws again, because today, where the onus of proving that somebody is corrupt is on prosecution, it's just too difficult for us to win the fight against corruption. So if you are able to establish that, Daniel, this water bottle is yours. However, given the salary that you earn, you can only buy this portion. But all these are for you. How did you go about it? Then the onus, once it's established that the resources are mine and the known sources of income cannot match what I have, then the onus should shift to me for me to prove that, yes, this is what I did. I prayed to God and won lotto, and yes, the evidence of it, or my so and so passed on and inherited and so and so, to prove how I arrive at it. If we don't do that, it will be a problem. So the law must be looked at. The institutions are also there, but they are not fit for purpose. We have too many anti-corruption agencies who have become defenders of public officers who are corrupt.
That's right.
It is a known fact, and I say it without apology, that there is an institution like Yoko, which come after you if you are fighting corrupt officials. Instead of them fighting corruption, they fight people who are fighting corruption.
Yes. And that's true.
And I'm one of the victims.
That's true.
I find it so strange. And many times, you will be shocked to know that when I was in office as Auditor General, you will find these anti-graft agencies will rather go and take the books that you want to audit so that you can't do the audit. Anytime they hear that there's going to be an audit of this place, they move in and seize the books that they are investigating the place. It came to a point where I served notice that we will go to court to find out whether your right of investigation overrides mine. Before there was a bit of sanity. So we have too many anti-corruption agencies. What am I talking about? The fact that we have so many of them, there is a turf war instead of them working together. So we know how that we create one agency, and this one should be departments. We should have them as departments of the same institution so that they can work together. It will also save us money.
That's right.
For instance, we have OSP. Look at how much was spent to build or to finance the building of the head office.
That's right.
If you have to build regional offices, that's multiplied by 16, maybe on a lower side, but multiply that by 16. And if we say districts, then we are finished.
That's true.
But if we combine them, there is already Yoko office in all the regions and the districts. So it means we just put in 1 or 2 staff and we are good to go. We will save a lot of money for. So the institutions may also have to be looked at. But the key one, which is the soft one, is ensuring that people don't get away with misbehavior. When the tone is at the top, telling you that, look, you can't get away with it. And anybody who crosses the line, irrespective of who you are, I'm telling you, corruption will be given a bloody nose, and this country will be a nice country. And I'm expecting that President Mahama, who has the history of putting his appointees who have been accused to the test, I think will do that on a large scale.
Now, in line with the institutions, are you also of the position, I am anyway, and not to impose my position on you, but there are others just like me that believes that we should decouple the Attorney General's departments from the Office of or the Ministry of Justice, so that they will have clear, separate jurisdictions. Individuals, one politically appointed, the other one not politically appointed, and we know that he is in fighting corruption or fighting all the terrible things happening in this country. I don't know whether you think, in line with the institutions that we talked about, if we decouple, it will strengthen the fight against corruption.
Thank you. Instead of creating OSP, that is what I thought we should have rather done. Say that we separate Attorney General. We have Attorney General just like the Auditor General. Who is not under any political persuasion, etc. You think about an Attorney General who sits in cabinet advising his colleagues on a transaction which has gone the other way around. Will he come back and
you tell him to come and prosecute you?
Let me give you a very funny example. You remember when I was battling the issue with the senior minister or something? Yes, on Crew and Associates. And I was thinking that I should go and solicit help from the Attorney General. Then it occurred to me that, these guys are together in cabinet. If I go there, do I think Attorney General, he may rather push me under the truck. Then I examined the contract, and lo and behold, it was the Attorney General who witnessed the contract. and say, I've lost this
so he
game.
was part of the whole process.
Yes, Gloria Kufu is the one who witnessed the contract. When I saw Gloria Kufu, I said, I will not go near there. Even though that may not stop her from doing something.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
she's a human being.
That's right.
She's part of the process. So I seriously think if you have a separate Attorney General who has all these mandates, so this OSP and Yoko, etc., become something like a department, under his office.
The argument
so that
been making,
there's a department to look at corruption issues. There's another one, money laundering and whatnot, etc., organized crime, etc. I think it will help the country. So he's not part of the government. So he doesn't sit in there. His job is to protect the interests of the country. I am all for that.
It is so funny how politicians in opposition professes things, and when they come to office, they do otherwise. This issue of decoupling, I started hearing of it right from 2007. 2007, the NDC in opposition talked about it. They came to office 2008. It got missing. 2012, 2016, the NPP in opposition talked about it. When they got into office, it vanished. We have a new government now. Indeed, I heard the current president talking about it on one or two platforms prior to the elections. And I'm hoping and believing that we'll be committed to that so that we do that. But you see, when we're able to do that, just like you've explained, it helps us to have a clear focus and know that, okay, this is an Attorney General, this is his mandate, this is the Minister of Justice, this is his mandate.
He's a politician.
He's a politician, and he can do all the political things that I want to do. Truth be told, there were some instances where I actually, at a point, thought that Godfrey Odame was just a political communicator at a point. And it's not his fault. It's because of the position he was holding, So we really hope and believe that the new government will be confident enough to say that, look, over the past period, it has not been able to take place. But during my time, I am going to do that. Let's decouple these two. There's one other thing which falls really, 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 really in your domain or your jurisdiction, and that has to do with disallowance and surcharge. People have also made the argument that, look, if indeed we want to have corruption-free governance, then we should strengthen the Auditor General to implement to its latter the powers given to him to disallow and surcharge. First and foremost, when we talk of disallow and surcharge, what are we talking about?
Thank you. Before I come there, let me give some credit to the politicians.
Right.
Decoupling the Attorney General's office from the Minister of Justice is not that easy. It's an entrenched clause.
Right.
That clause is entrenched. So to decouple it means going through all those
the processes,
including referendum and etc. So it's not that very easy. Now, when we come to disallowance and surcharge, what do we mean? What are we talking about? The Supreme Court helped us in Occupy Ghana versus Attorney General.
Right.
The Supreme Court defined disallowance, meaning Auditor General officially cancelling the expenditure or disapproving of an expenditure. Then they defined surcharge as recovering the money paid or the amount paid plus some addition, something to compensate for the economic value.
Right.
So it means if you took 10 million, we don't come and say bring back 10 million. They said that is refund. That is not surcharge. Surcharge is refund plus some penalty. Okay. So there must be a penalty.
Okay.
And unfortunately, they didn't tell us how the penalty should be
calculated. Yeah.
Yes. So then I was the Auditor General. So I said, okay, let me take it like this. What are we talking about? We are talking about public funds. Is that not it?
Right.
And you have taken public funds which you want to collect from you. I want to assume that you borrowed our public funds. So I use the lending rate of Bank of Ghana. So that's what I was using.
That's interesting.
I was using the lending rate of Bank of Ghana. That assuming you went to borrow money from Ghana, that is what you will have paid. So I use that one to accumulate the interest, and so that is the disallowance and surcharge. The view that Auditor General should be empowered to fully implement disallowance and surcharge. I don't know to what extent the Auditor General can be empowered again. The Auditor General is already empowered. to me, I find it as a refusal on the part of the current Auditor General to do the needful. Mind you, the Supreme Court, when they were talking about the Speaker of Parliament's case, they reminded the Speaker that if they interpret the Constitution and give directives and you did not comply with it, it was a high crime.
That's
Do you
true.
remember that?
That's true.
Good. Read Occupy Ghana versus Attorney General. The consequential orders, they instructed the Auditor General that anytime the Auditor General in the course of an audit chances upon an expenditure which is contrary to law, then the may becomes mandatory.
Okay.
He is under obligation to search out. So I just see the behavior of the Auditor General as disobedience to the Supreme Court. Anytime I'm reading his report, I am like, why would this guy write this? Many times he will write, so and so should recover, the MDS should recover. And the Supreme Court said that is your constitutional mandate. In fact, if you read that judgment, they said that that mandate is on a higher pedestal from what is stated in the Audit Service Act. So it must have its right of way. It is stated, that was the English of the judgment. Okay? So after the Supreme Court has said that you should go and hold people accountable and recover the money, the Auditor General will write that they should recover the money and pay it into Auditor General Recovery's account.
And that's all.
Which is also illegal anyway, because if you read Section 17 of the Audit Service Act, the Act says that the money should be paid into the account from which the money was taken. And the Auditor General has himself overruled the law and created an account into which he is collecting the money.
That's illegal.
Very illegal. Anytime I read those things, I'm like, is the Auditor General ready to face the law himself? Because he's breaching the laws by first not implementing the disallowance and the surcharge, and secondly, collecting the money into his account. I don't know the reason why he should open his account.
Is it his personal account or an account that belongs to the Auditor General's department?
Okay, this is an Auditor General's recovery account. So he has opened an account
for
to
that.
collect the money into the consolidated fund. But that's not what the law says. The law says if you surcharge a teacher, it goes to health, education. If it is a health worker,
a doctor, it goes to the health.
Into their account. So you don't collect the money. Mind you, Article 176 says all monies received for and on behalf of the government should be paid into the consolidated fund, except when a law allows you to pay it into another fund. So the Auditor General needs a law, but the Audit Service Act did not mandate the Auditor General to keep the money. He said pay it into the account from which the money was taken.
What can citizens do? Is there any avenue for us to say we are taking the Auditor General to court, knowing very well that he has breached these, how do we call it, laws?
Honestly, I think it is our duty as citizens to hold public officers accountable. And I don't think the Auditor General is above the law either.
Right.
So I think it is time for somebody to take on the Auditor General and say, look, you have not respected the directives given to you by the Supreme Court, so we should hold him accountable. And also, you have decided to disobey the law. Anyone who wants to look at it should look at Section 17 of the Audit Service Act. It says those money should go into the account of the institution or the department from which it was collected. So you don't, with that amending the law, open your own account and say you have collected. I remember you reported they have collected about 11 point something million last year into the account. And I said, this is also indiscipline, which should not be tolerated.
Still on this, we are still talking about the institutions.
Yes.
There's one thing which is also of interest to me. Now that we've talked a bit on the Auditor General's place, the surcharge and the disallowance. The courts, they play a very important role in ensuring that we'll have a corruption-free governance. One of the policies that was found in the NDC manifesto says that we are going to create a special court to swiftly deal with cases of corruption against public officials and agencies. Do you think there's a need for that?
Yes and no. Again, I have to be a bit more controversial. Given the importance of corruption, I would say yes. We should get a dedicated court so that corruption cases can be heard expeditiously and dealt with on time. But you see, There's something funny I forgot to mention again
Right.
during the swearing in of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Maybe you didn't see the video. When the judges were leaving the place, people were hooting at them. I was shocked that these are Supreme Court judges. See, people were hooting at them. I don't know whether the message sank into their heads. It means their disappointment to Ghanaians. I was sad when I saw that, and some were wearing their wig and etc. You could see them through the window, and they were hooting at them. And I said, so the courts are also not fit for purpose. Most of the times you wonder whether they are there delivering justice or for their personal reasons or whatever it is. Do you know that currently, or as we speak, no, years ago actually, when I was even Auditor General,
Right.
I wrote to the Chief Justice to say, can I have some special courts which will deal with disallowance and surcharge?
Okay.
And he actually nominated 4 courts.
Okay.
One in Accra, one I think in Takoradi, one in Kumasi, and I think one in Tamale.
Okay.
So only 4 courts to hear these cases. But to be honest with you, at times you go to these courts which have been dedicated, and you are like, this judge is a party activist. He's not a judge. You hear the judge's pronouncements, and you are like, oh my God. To the extent at times I was begging my lawyer that he should not be allowing me to come to the court, because one day I'll be in contempt. I'll just get up and speak my mind to the judge, and they may say I should go to prison. I don't care about that. But so we need attitudinal change in the judiciary. That's the point I'm trying to make. We can create separate courts, but those courts can also become problem to us. So we need to transform the judiciary to be fit for purpose. Currently, I don't think a lot of, I'm not saying all of them. There are fantastic guys in there, but many of them are just doing something else.
What it then means is that, yes, I'm happy you mentioned yes and no. So it means that, yes, to some extent, we may need a court, a special court. But the truth is, even creating a special court, if you don't have attitudinal change, it will end up becoming the same old thing. Exactly. And so if that is the thing, why then don't we find a way of focusing on attitudinal change to reform the existing courts? Would that be possible?
Yes, that is possible, because you see, we don't need that attitudinal change only for corruption. For every case, if you and me were litigating on land, justice must be delivered. If you are fighting any other crime, justice must be delivered. I think we need the courts. In fact, the court is actually what gives stability to every country. People will not fight because they know we can go there and get justice. But when people start doubting the courts, it's a problem. So I think we need the Chief Justice and his team, or the the legal counsel or whatever it is, to have a second look at the judiciary and make sure that there is attitudinal change. Some of the cases, they'll give you Pyrrhic victory, like mine. They wait till when you go,
it becomes irrelevant.
They give you something called a Pyrrhic victory, a victory which is useless. We don't do that. Meanwhile, they have been saying, I'm not a judge, I'm not a lawyer, but I've heard this mantra: justice delayed is justice denied. But they delay people's justice and deny them.
What's veering off a little? Everyone talks about attitudinal change.
Yes.
But it is always difficult for us to say we are achieving that. How does it start? Where do we start? And how do we achieve it?
It is still because we have leadership crisis. Attitudes and systems are put in place by leaders. If you have a good leader, if you have a transformation leader, if you have a visionary leader, a leader who actually is seeking the interest of the people, he makes sure that people behave in a certain way. He makes sure that some values are respected across session. Because if the entire government changes, the judiciary has no option than to change.
That's true.
Assuming that we have the Ghana police, all the prosecutors, etc., doing their work very well, it will be very difficult for the judge to do otherwise.
That's true.
Okay? So it is all leadership deficiency. And I've always said that most of the corruption problems we have is because we don't have leadership, and leadership put in place systems. And we don't have systems. That's why we have those type of things. Small things like we say, oh, the police collect bribe on the way and etc. Go to even African countries like Malawi, poorer than us. The police doesn't collect bribe on the roadside. Why? Because everybody knows the fine for overspeeding and overtaking and crossing the red light. They publish it in the newspapers and it is on TV. So you know the rate. So immediately you cross the red light, you know you are supposed to pay 20 Ghana. You give it to him and ask your receipt for your receipt, and you move on. No bribe. But in Ghana, now negotiation. you have to negotiate, and
we've all become experts in negotiation.
And you don't have time for that.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, you have to part with something so that you can have your way. So we need systems to be in place to check some of these things.
One of the systems, which again is of interest to you, it has always been of interest to me, has to do with the procurement, public procurement. You see, I have said, and you agree with me, that most, if not all, of the corruption that we record can be found in the procurement process and the procurement system. Do we need a new procurement regime?
Yes. I think the procurement process or the regime that we have currently is not fit for purpose on several grounds. One, governance.
Right.
Look at the people sitting on the Public Procurement Board. People wonder why they get approval for single source from government easily. You know, the people sitting there, I think about 3 of them are appointed by the Minister of Finance.
Exactly.
And Attorney General's deputy is there. In fact, Godfred Odami was sitting on the Public Procurement Board when he was Deputy Attorney General. When he became the Attorney General, his deputy, Madam Diana something, was now representing there. So there's Deputy Attorney General there, Minister of Finance, and mind you, the Chief Executive and all of them, they are all appointed by the President.
Appointments, yeah.
So when the Chief of Staff write them and say that, give single source to Mr. Emmanuel Wilson.
Who are you to say no?
Who are you to say no? So even though the grounds for giving that approval have not even come up, they grant it. So I think we have to have a second look at the procurement law again. And even on the constitutional, independent constitutional bodies and some of the procurement entities, still we have members of parliament and attorney general represented there.
Right.
And I asked them, if you join me and we do the misprocurement, will you be able to prosecute myself and yourself together? So we have to look at some of these things. But let me be quick also to say that some of the checks and balances which are in the procurement law, personally, I don't agree with them.
Okay.
Even though people think that is what will give us value for money. I think the understanding of value for money is too narrow, usually from procurement point of view. What am I saying? For instance, if you today want to buy goods and you're a government institution worth more than 10 million Ghana cedis, which is about $700,000,
right,
you have to do international competitive bidding. So what kind of rule is that? And once you are doing international competitive bidding, mind you, it means Nigerian firms, South African firms, etc., will compete with Ghanaians.
That's true.
Most of them have export promotion, so they give them subsidy to come and compete.
From their government.
Yes, and the Ghanaian has nothing like that. People will tell you, procurement people will tell you there's something they call margin of preference. Yes, but the margin of preference, you state it in the procurement document, that if you're a Ghanaian firm, you have a margin of preference of maybe 15 or 10%, which means that if you are 10% lower, you are still okay. So they take that and give to their government. And the Chinese government will say, okay, I'll give you 60% support. So the Chinese firm will quote at a rate which the Ghanaian doesn't come anywhere near. So I think we must have a second look at it. Why am I saying that, my brother? The truth of the matter is that procurement is a major tool for job creation in the country. Can you imagine the procurement of vehicles that have been happening all these years? Government has directed its mind to say, let's try and assemble those vehicles in Ghana. And we will procure only made in Ghana vehicles for the MDAs, the police, the military, etc. They are only the number of factories we will have had today employing our staff. Plenty. Let's assume that procurement is said that Ghana says that we are going to buy chicken, rice, etc. for our schools, hospitals, all from Ghana or Ghanaian companies. It will have created a lot of entrepreneurs in the country. So when you are procuring, say that you are exporting jobs, and you talk about value for money, so you buy this at a reduced price of maybe 10 cedis, as a result of which your youth are on the street, and you call it value for money. I find it
it's
nonsense. That is one aspect. Then as Auditor General,
That's right.
I've also seen that even though we go through those processes and say we are getting value for money, the procurement itself is not even needed. When the financial year is coming to an end and the MDAs, they have their budget, they have to blow it.
Yeah.
Because they say that if you don't finish it, Minister of Finance will cut your budget for the next year. So once the year is coming to an end, they buy anything at all. So what you see, which is the vehicles and maybe other things, is as a result of which something they don't need. They just spend government money because if we don't spend that money, next year we will not get it. We may have to move away from that and first ask the question, do you first and foremost need water? That's the first question. If you need water, then at what price do we buy it so that it can create job in Ghana? We don't buy water such that we are buying. Very soon, if we don't take time, we will find companies from outside supplying us with water. I don't know if it has already started because I've seen some foreign waters on our this.
It has.
Water, we can't process it. We can't process a toothpick. We can't process some basic things. And our youth are on the street. So this is some of the things I think we have to go back and have a second look at public procurement because government is the biggest spender in the economy. If government spends its money strategically, it can create jobs in the country. Even if it means paying $1 or $2 more, so to create job in Ghana, it makes more sense than to be exporting the jobs in the name of value for money. At the end of the day, actually, if you look at value for money in a holistic manner, there is usually no value for money. All that we are trying to say is that we bought it at a cheaper price. That is not the point. Cheaper price as a result of which your children are unemployed. Cheaper price for something you don't even need. So I think we need to have a second look at public procurement and ensure that whatever we procure is going to help the growth of the economy, create jobs. If government is interested in any local product, we must have to try and see how we do it so that we can go. Many countries have done it.
If you have the opportunity now to propose just one thing that you want or you want to see changed in the current procurement process that we have or regime that we have, what will it be?
I will try and remove most of the powers and the composition of the Public Procurement Authority. They have become accomplices in almost all the procurement that we do. Many times the people talk about their approval. I say this is not approval. These guys are conniving to do the wrong thing. So one thing we have to do is to ensure that we have a governance body, which rather help to drive procurement so that it helps the nation, instead of giving approvals where there is no need for. Companies that have been established a day before the procurement, they get approval.
That's true.
And you see some situations, even the approval, you don't know why they will have to give such approval because the amounts are ridiculous. And it goes through. If you look at the Osafumafu's case that I showed you, there was an approval from Public Procurement Authority. One of the consultants, the lead consultant, was getting an hour, more than $700 an hour. An hour, 1 hour.
Wow.
I think it's $720 or $750 dollars an hour. So if you works 10 hours in a day, he's going home with more than $7,000 in a day.
Taxpayers' money?
Ghanaian taxpayers' money. That is the money I was going after. And the court, the High Court and the Supreme Court did, yes, I'm telling you.
$7,000.
It has not occurred to you. If you see the approval that they gave, and that approval, even interestingly, was given to Honorable Kandapa, Ministry of National Security, not Senior Minister. So I was asking, since when did National Security and Senior Minister's Office become one? Can GES, Education Service, take approval from Health and go and use it at Education? These are separate entities. So, and all these were swept away by the judge.
Wow.
The judge didn't look at it, and I don't fault her. Maybe she was doing her work. But I find it very interesting to note later that the judge herself and all the two lawyers of defending Osafumafu, etc., they are all now Court of Appeal judges.
Wow.
They've all been promoted. They are all now in Court of Appeal. So whether it was coincidence
oh my
or not,
goodness.
I don't know.
I doubt if this is coincidence. I really doubt if this is coincidence. Mr. Domlevo, I'll come back to you. Just take a little break, and you want to take water if you may. I'll go through some of the messages that have come, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a bit more about civil society organizations' role, and then we'll call it a night. So these are some of the messages that have come in from you, my cherished viewers and listeners. This one says, "Good evening, Mr. Wilson. My name is Suleiman Ilyasu. I just want to tell Ghanaians that we see the good leadership of Mahama. 6 days in office is better than Akufo-Addo's 8 years in power." Yes, Mahama is the savior of Ghana. Thank you. Thank you. Please tell... Okay, so let's give respect to those that respect are due to. He's a president. So please tell His Excellency Mahama that he should do something about the constitution issue. Amend it so that he can live the 80 years. What? Thank you. I'm Victor from... Victor, I don't really understand, but thank you. Hello, Mr. Wilson. I want President Mahama to expose all or most of the evil deeds of the Akufo-Addo induced MPP. Get back the stolen money and put those criminals in jail. He should ensure his officials do not engage in any form of corruption. This is James from Kojo Krom. Mr. Wilson, the Burkinabe leader built and commissioned a new tomato canning factory a week before our elections. And guess what? He used $12 million for such a project. That is the same amount of money Ghana's Akufo-Addo and His Excellency Bawumia used as fees for feasibility studies on a non-existing dam at Pualugu. That's one of the reasons for the applause he received. Thank you. I think that makes a lot of sense, you know. For this satisfied, aka COVID levy, the e-levy is neither a direct tax, indirect tax, or an excise tax. I don't even know how to clarify the e-levy as a tax practitioner. It doesn't mean that I do not recognize that the e-levy brings in certain revenues, but the fact remains the e-levy retards our progress towards a cashless economy. If approved, as part of the first budget, I will be privileged to announce the abolishment of the e-levy from step down, Ejumaku Bisiase. Did you say you will approve it, disapprove it when you approve? Okay, I'm not getting you very well, but thank you. Mr. Wilson, my name is RY, watching live from Ashaiman. Your program is really educative. I think President Mahama's government should have ex-President Akufo-Addo account freezed for further investigation. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. Please, my name is Nuruddin from Techiman. I want to know as they are going, what they are going to do about the Techiman South, because that seat is for NDC. Please, 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 we need our seats. Okay. I'll ask Mr. Domlevo. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. I don't, whenever I hear or see this man, Mr. Daniel, I feel like he is my heart. In fact, I like him so much. From Fuseni, Offenso, and Hinkro in Ashanti region. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. The judiciary has been compromised under former President Akufo-Addo and Bawumia government. Can Mr. Domlevo be appointed as Auditor General again? I'm Ekuamwa Christian from Odome Chala in the Oti region of Ghana. Good evening, my panelists. Democracy without fair hearing or judgment. Freedom of speech, freedom of the demonstration, but only full of arrogance, selfish. Okay, I'm Gazari, thank you, from Ashanti Bekwai. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. Mr. Domlevo should be employed on contract by the NDC government as the State Auditor General for 3 years to sanitize government expenditure and audit all state and public institutions. Okay, you didn't add your name. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. Politics and beyond is a perspective Ghana should be looking for. If JM needs concentration to work, people like Minority Leader and his group must shut up their ideas and nagging. JM said he is going to cancel license exams. I hate 54, twice less of 6% to be qualified. Oh, I hate 54%, twice less of 6% to be qualified in medical lab. I decided to quit and do other things because I don't even trust the exam council. Is there an avenue to share an innovation idea to help maintain the free SHS? Simon from Tamale. Yes, Simon, so you can continue engaging us with your ideas on the same platform, and we'll get back to you if the need be. This one says, Gatuso Mampon Asante, please, we need the oral team to work hard without favor. Please, Mr. Domlevo, anybody who has stolen state money, state lands, please prosecute him or her, and that will serve as a scapegoat for each and everyone. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. Tell me, who checks the judges? Who punishes the Supreme Court judge? I want to suggest that if any Supreme Court judge is found misbehaving, she or he must be called to live cast TV and be interrogated by a panel of a people teacher, a student, and 3 other persons. Wow, that's an interesting one. Tommy, thank you so much. Mr. Watson, please, I wish the issue on corruption should also affect food sellers, farmers, fruit retailers who are using chemicals to pollute fruits consumers eat, which are delicious. All right, thank you so much. I'm trying to really get it through, but my name is Simon Dokpo, also known as MP for Baglo Buem Oti region. All institutions in Ghana need special house cleaning exercise, especially judiciary, so there should be trust in the system. Politics and beyond is a place. Okay, I've read this one already. Okay, the messages keep coming. Thank you so much. I'll come back to the message if I get a chance. But Mr. Domlevo, back to you. We've talked about the institutions. We've talked about the laws. We've also talked somehow about the leadership, the leaders. There's one other aspect, and that has to do with civil society organizations. What role do they need to play in ensuring that, you know, these institutions that are state institutions are really working towards a corruption-free governance?
Thank you very much. This civil society, I see them as the voice of the voiceless. Excuse me to say that they are quite knowledgeable about issues in the society, and a lot of them are very knowledgeable also about governance. So they play the role of holding public officers accountable. And I think they must be given their right full place in every administration. The thinking that because I'm a minister, because I'm a Auditor General, because I'm an Attorney General, because I'm a Chief Justice, I know it all. It doesn't hold anywhere. At times, the people down there, what they know, you have no idea. So they are an interface between the society and government, and I think I will wish that His Excellency creates an avenue of bringing them on board in each institution. When I was Auditor General, I was meeting with the CSOs involved in corruption. Because I wanted to hear their perspective of what I was doing. And I think some of the ideas that came from them were fantastically good. So we should have a discussion. And I must also say there's another group of people that we have ignored so much, and it bleeds my heart. One of those groups is the internal auditors. Internal auditors, especially in the public sector. Yes, we can have a very effective external auditor who brings about deterrence to abuse of public funds. But you see, internal auditors sit in there with the institutions. And I describe them as physicians. Instead of external auditors who come in like pathologists after the person has died. So they will tell you that this is what killed him, but the person has died anyway. So we need a physician. We need internal audit which is independent and well-resourced so that they can do their thing. And the bill has been lying on the table of government for all these years. And I think NDC promised passing it. I think it should be one of the things which should happen within the 120, is it 120
yes,
days of
120 days.
He should pass that bill and give the independence to the internal auditor so that we can preempt the wastage.
That's right.
Another group of people which we have not talked about very much in this country, to me, is the researchers, the universities. This is a body of people who are doing research every day. We don't use them. I wish that the government should engage the universities or the tertiary institutions or the research institutions in almost everything they are going to do. Well, how come that we construct roads less than a year and the roads are cracking?
Yeah.
Can't there be any research into what we need to do so that we can have a road which lasts for a longer time? Our terrains are even far better than what we see in Europe, is that not it?
That's right.
You go to Netherlands, the roads are going underwater and swampy, but the roads are good. So can't we research into it? We need food every day. Who is researching into the type of food we should be eating to be healthy and alive? So government should work closely with these researchers. We should not leave academia alone. In fact, what pains me that we even pay their bills. So we should use them.
We
so
should
look,
benefit from them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my friend, let us see how do we do this and use them as consultants maybe to crack that ideas. So if we can look at all these people, you see, governance is a collective game. It is not a game of I alone can do it.
Right.
No. So engage all sorts of people, and if we can empower internal audit and bring in our researchers and the anti-corruption agencies, I think we will be saving a lot of resources which will be used to develop. But a last one, as we look at all these things, the governance arrangement of every country is also a service delivery structure. I don't think the public service is well structured. There are duplications and overlaps and gaps and etc. over there. And you see the fiscal decentralization of Ghana. When you talk about fiscal decentralization, people will not understand. The money, the purse, is shared only within 2 kilometers of Accra. The money is from Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Agri, Ministry of Health, but the needs of Ghana are in a front place, in Boku, etc. So we should share the budget. I'm living and praying that a day will come where we will see what we call composite budgeting, where the district budget contains education, health, road, all the things needed in the district are in the district budget.
Right.
Then these come together to form the regional budget, together with the regional institutions. So in the budget, you will see regional budget, district budget. So you know how much is going to Security. So how much is going to this. Now nobody even knows how much total resources government is giving to anybody. How do we start accountability? When we talk about accountability, it starts with knowing first how much resources we are given to. And in fiscal management, there's a concept we talk about, FFF. Funds follow function. It is where the function is. That's where we put money. You can't put money in the ministries when the schools are in the districts and the regions. You don't put money in the ministry when the hospitals are over there. I asked a friend of mine who was a minister of, what do you call it, health. How many hospitals do you have in the ministry here? And you will say, oh, Ghana, we have so many. I said, no.
How many?
I said, how many in your ministry here? Here. He said, but you don't have hospitals here. So I said, why are you keeping the hospitals' money?
That's right.
Send the money to the regions and the districts where the money is needed so that it can be put to good use. So we need to restructure and reduce the middle. You see, the weight is too much. Again, to be very honest with you, I personally disagree with creating 16 regions out of Ghana. Ghana is such a small country. In fact, we are smaller than one county or state in some countries.
That's true.
We are so small.
Lagos is bigger.
Thank you.
Than us,
so creating 16 regional ministers and now maybe be looking for deputies, then coordinating director. Each of these is Land Cruiser business. Land Cruiser and government house and etc. It's wasteful.
That's true.
We should bring, we should concentrate on the districts. Even the districts are too many, 260 something. But I think if we have about 60 to about 100 districts, then maybe a few regions, it will reduce government spending so that the money can be used in providing social interventions. We need more industries, we need more schools, we need more hospitals, not land cruisers.
That's true. That's troo. Mr. Donlevo, all too soon our time is up. But last year, Crusaders Against Corruption Ghana, as one of the civil society organizations, did extensively across the country, did a lot of work. You were one of the leading members, obviously because you're also a board member of it. I'm going to put you on the spot. Are we expecting anything from Crusaders this year?
Yes. We are expecting this is the time that they should start, the Crusaders should start setting the pace.
That's right.
We should be calling the shot. We should be telling government that this is what we want. If you are a listening government, this is what we want. Because like I said earlier on, at times when you are at the top, you don't see the details.
That's right.
It is the people on the ground who see the details. So Crusaders should come together and start setting the agenda.
That's right.
And I think we should start that now.
That's right. So viewers, listeners, that is it. We have started the agenda setting. And it starts from now. It starts from this platform. We are focusing on corruption-free governance. And our guest, Mr. Domlovo, has given us, a broader perspective of how it's going to be. It's kind of a guide as to the agenda that we are setting for this beloved country. And we are just in to help the government to succeed. And that is all we are going to do. Remember, prior to the elections, the now president, then was the candidate, told us that when he's elected, he's going to partner with Crusaders to ensure that we fight corruption together. And that is all we want to do. We are taking the proactive style, the proactive way to ensure that we fight corruption. Just one message. I know thousands of them have come back. Just this one. This one says, good evening, Mr. Wilson. I'm watching you live on TV SYZ. Thanks for the great work you are doing for Ghana. God bless you. Many thanks from Jacob. Jacob, thank you very much too. This is where time will allow us. And I would just want to again say thank you so much for those of us doing the listening and doing the viewing, individuals who send messages to me privately and tell me how this platform has benefited them, those who always say that they cannot do without this platform. I want to say a big thank you to all of you. Mr. Alfred Mahama, I know you are one person who keep watching this platform. Thank you so much for always doing the viewing. I want to thank my own mother, that is Mrs. Johnson Asiedun Keti. I'm talking about the chairman's, NDC chairman's wife. I mean, she yesterday also called me. We had an interaction. I was like,